and welcome to another episode with Wagging Success. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Tersia, and how are you up there in the northern suburbs? Gauteng.
Listen, the season is changing, summer is upon us. We cannot complain.
Yeah, you can see the season's changing, yeah, but early mornings, late afternoons are just not nice.
Now, if you're sitting in a big puffer jacket, then we know you're still getting the cold. But don't worry, we'll send you some sunshine.
I think we must become swallows in the winter going north, way
Absolutely.
north,
Yes.
and in the summer we'll come back to the sea.
Definitely, yes. I'll join you on
Yeah.
that one. Philip, today we are talking about an important thing, a very interesting thing, and it applies to so many people. As you and I spoke before, this is something that we are increasingly seeing with people in multiple dog households. And that is when your dogs who have lived together for years suddenly start acting aggressive towards one another. So, we're going to touch on the basics today. I don't think we'll have time to go into all of the detail, but I think this will be a very good conceptual discussion for people to start thinking in the right line if this is happening to you with your dogs. So, Philip, please take us away.
Right, so as you say, we can go into a lot of depth on this, but the causes of this is normally one of three things. It is either structural, where the structure within the household isn't right, um, or we have structures forming within structures, or we have the leaders in the structure falling away. So I think let me start at the beginning by saying structural. What is the definition of structural? We know that these animals live in the wild, in nature. They live in very well-defined structures. There are the leaders, which I always refer to as the grandparents, because normally it is one or both,
Mm.
the top dogs, and then each dog, or let's refer to them as animals, has its place within the structure. And they will never challenge the top dogs, because any challenge is your own death warrant you've signed. Because you come out of your little place within the structure and you go upstairs and you go into that space uninvited, it's a challenge to take over the structure. And the top dogs, or the leaders of the structure, they will kill. They just do no two ways about it. That's what they'll do. Um, the second point we've got is where we've got a structure forming within a structure, the A structure being the household, and we have two or three dogs, and we allow them to form another structure within the main structure. And we allow one dog to become the top dog, leading that internal structure.
And the thing is, it sounds conceptual, but we see these things happening to our dogs in the homes. We see the aggression when one dog is up on the bed and another dog wants to come, and then the one that's on top bites down.
But
We
we cause
see
it.
these things happening.
We the cause,
Yes.
not the dogs. They acting on natural instinct. And then we have a case where there's a well set structure, but the structure is not correct. So I'm going to give you an example. Two cases down here. I had two Dachshunds who grew up together. They lived together quite happily for 8 years. And then suddenly the wife within the household passed away. And within a week, those dogs had shredded each other. and they were both in hospital. They tore each other to pieces,
That
and
is
they both.
insane.
So on the assessment there, I found out that the structure had been the wife sort of being top of the structure, leading the whole household, the whole structure, and then the dogs, and then the husband, because the husband was a very soft, quiet type guy, never really involved or anything. And when she passed away, natural instinct kicks in. So these two Dachshunds have said, okay, there's no leader. One of us has got to lead the structure.
Mm, mm.
So, and as you say, you can see it. One comes in, jumps up on the backrest of the couch, and when the other one just walks to the lounge, he's up and he goes
Mm.
and he attacks him. So another case I had was a Boston Terrier, also a small dog. The husband passed away, and about 2 days later, she walked into the room and chased the dog off the bed, and the dog attacked her and bit her in the face. So, getting there on assessment again, the structure was husband, dog, wife, and he passed away. So, immediately, they don't vote and have all this human rubbish going on. The next one takes over immediately.
Mm.
And so the Boston Terrier took over, and the bed was his. So you don't come chase me off my bed. And that's where the attack occurred. So, one can go into real depth into these things and and you can go and study them over and over. And this is why I always tell my clients, um, dogs do not want or need a mother-father figure.
Yes.
To them, that is weakness. They do not want love the whole time, because to them, love is weakness. They need a leader. They need leadership. They cannot live without leadership.
I think we can safely say, Philip, that with all of the behavioral issues we have ever seen with dogs, have you ever walked into somebody's home and told them the problem is you don't love your dog enough? Never once. Love, there's never a shortage of love, but love never fixes the problem. Leadership fixes
No,
the problem.
no, no. Love is a human emotion. And your dog doesn't love you. Your dog either look. There's about 4,500 women in this country that don't want to talk to me because they still believe their dogs love them. And every time I speak to them, they say my dog is now passed on. He died. He got attacked, or one of the other dogs killed him. But he loved me while he was alive. That's a human emotion. You do not see a male dog, a young male dog, in amongst other male dogs, and there are young bitches around, female dogs around, and he says, "Listen, that one is mine. That's my girlfriend, and I'm jealous of her." Nobody goes near her. It doesn't exist in their lives until somebody can prove me otherwise. I won't accept that. And
Oh, oh,
so
Philip is making many people mad now.
yeah, because the young dog will kill. He will kill his mother. He will kill his father when it comes to the challenging age.
And I
And if
think
there's no leadership, he will challenge and he will kill.
that is such an appropriate thing to highlight at this point, because we see our dogs living together for many years and we say, oh, they are brothers, or they are brother and sister. We attach all of these human concepts to them. And then the day when they do turn on each other, it's very jarring to us as humans, because it's always seemingly out of the blue, and it comes
Traumatic.
as such an emotional shock to us,
Yeah,
where for
yeah,
them it's not an emotional thing, there's something else going on, and we need to look at it from their perspective first
yeah.
if we want
You
to
know,
help.
just a simple example. The dog will come and while you're sitting on the couch, jump up and then lie on your lap. And oh, look how my dog loves me. He's lying here. um, that's dominant behavior. And that's demanding, a dominant animal demanding, because he knows exactly what your next move is going to be. You're going
Yes.
to touch him, you're going to give him. And then suddenly that dog turns around and bites you because he's had enough of you, he's demanded attention, he's gotten it, and now you overstepping the boundaries by carrying on.
Oh, I've had the lovely example up here. It's a male Cocker Spaniel dog who would jump up onto the bed and then beg for affection from his mom. Um, and
I
then
remember,
he would go and open up his belly for belly rubs. He would literally do everything that begs for affection. And then they would touch him. And by the fourth or fifth stroke, he suddenly turns around and he attacks. There was blood. People ended up
I
in
remember
hospital.
that.
And that is the most perfect example of a dog coming and saying, "You will give me affection now," and then telling you to stop. He's done now.
Yes.
But who's calling that shots?
Yeah.
Absolutely him. He's in the
Yeah.
driver's seat.
Yeah. So when you've got multiple dogs in the house, even without multiple dogs, even a single dog, you can never let the structure um, be wrong. It's got to be set correct. When you've got a youngster in the house, this dog's got to know that this youngster belongs to you. It has no say over that youngster, and that you control it, because it happens so quickly that it's the parents, the dog, and then the child. And here it starts getting dangerous, because suddenly the kid reaches out and grabs the dog by the ear or something, and this dog turns around and attacks. And normally it's in the face, because and this
That's where
youngster
he
wants
is.
to take the ears and kiss the dog, or um, even adults who do this and kiss the dog. Uh, if things go wrong, that bite is in the face. And again, and I've explained this to clients a million times over, this is where 90% of household dogs get put down,
Mm-hmm.
because they are allowed to climb within the structure, get to the top, become dominant, and then dominant aggressive. They
Mm-hmm.
start owning your space. They start owning the bed, the food bowl. This is why a food bowl never stays on the ground. You eat, the dog eats, you pick up that food bowl and it's gone. It must never be allowed to own that. It's
Mm.
never allowed to own anything. And you know as well as I do that when we get this type of dog and we take it to boot camp, it has no food bowl, it has no bed, it has no toys, it has nothing. Everything belongs to me, and whatever you get is on loan from me.
Mm.
And the minute I'm finished, I take it back. It's mine. Um, I've had cases where I take the beds away. You don't have a bed for at least 2 weeks. You
Mm-hmm.
go find your own place to sleep, because you become, you get sleeping area aggressive. You start owning the bed, and suddenly somebody walks too close to that bed, and the attack's on. And don't think because it's your little Yorkie, he's not going to do it.
Dog is a
When the
dog.
pawpaw hits the fan, that's it. So yeah,
Absolutely.
this is a very in detailed subject. We can take 1,000 cases that I know of, where things have gone horribly wrong because of this type of thing. Correcting it is not a difficult situation, but if you don't stick to the rules, it's going to come,
Mm.
and it's going to become big time. And this is why I've always said there's me time, there's partners time, there's family time. The dogs are not a part of that. And then there's dog time. And when it's dog time, I take my leash and it's a working session with my dog. It's not a fruitless walk with no meaning that makes no sense. Because I like walking, I must take my dog for a walk.
And now your
Um,
dog drags you up and down across the street. Yes.
a dog has an innate need to migrate with a leader every day. And part of that migration is working with your dog every day. So people say, but I have a Yorkie or a toy pop. Makes no difference. You work with him because he ain't stupid. He wants to work. And the small dogs, are the ones who get up there the quickest and become the most aggressive very quickly. One's got to be very careful. So, very interesting subject, very in detail. And once you start studying dogs' natural instincts versus humans, versus structures and stuff, it becomes very, very interesting. But then a lot of little lights go on, and we suddenly realize that we're on the wrong side of the fence here, and it's going to come back and bite us. And when I say bite, it's a dog that's going to bite you.
It's literally going to bite you.
And it's going to be your favorite little cocker spaniel that turns around and puts you in hospital with a bite in the face or no fingers or something, because that's what they do.
So, Philip, we bring our dogs into our families. They become part of our social structure. They become part of our families because this social structure is a family like no other, like we know amongst humans. And if there's an imbalance in that structure, then we tend to see aggression amongst the dogs. So
We
you
see a
mentioned,
dog climbing in the structure, bit by bit. Tug of war, I win, I go up a step. Okay. Food down, I growl, I go up another step.
yes.
So it's in small little steps, but they climb the structure until they get up top there.
Okay, so when it comes down to your dogs living together harmoniously for a long time and suddenly they start attacking each other or there's aggression towards one another, the issue is most likely structural that we can
Yeah.
see. So one, the structure is not right. Two, a substructure has formed. Or three, the structure is completely incorrect.
Totally incorrect. Yeah. And you've got to, we must remember that changing that back is like rehabilitation, because we've got to get those dogs back into their place. We've got to get ourselves back into the right place. And then we've got to readapt those dogs to each other. And we've got to make them realize that they're not a threat to each other, but they also don't need to fight about who's going to lead the structure. And dogs don't want to be all that. They want to live in the structure and be quite happy.
Yes,
But we
yes.
are the ones that cause the imbalance.
I think
We
that's the
miss out.
most important part. The most important part that we need to understand is that the dogs don't want this either. They don't do it because
They
it's
don't want to be
lovely.
like that. No,
Absolutely not.
no. They want to be relaxed, cool, happy, live their
Yes,
lives,
yes.
but they need the structure, they need the leadership, they need all these things. Um, so yeah, people must think. The mother teaches these dogs a lot of little things, structurally and all sorts of things when they're puppies. And then we go and fetch this puppy or we bring him home, and we don't carry any of that forward.
Mm,
And then 8 months down the line, you phone Philip or Tersia and say,
help.
don't know what to do.
Hmm.
Um, and then you bring this in, and I'm afraid some people say, it's too much for me. I can't abide by these rules. And then I'm very blunt and I say, well, you're going to have to accept the consequences that come at a later stage. But please don't phone me again,
Yes.
because you've been warned. Because there are
Okay.
those people that won't listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately. So,
Lots
Philip,
of
my
them.
last question. If it comes suddenly out of the blue, one thing that we have encountered is if it seems like nothing has changed, one of two things may be happening. One, you didn't notice the very small changes that happened. It happened over a long period of time. The second thing that we see is that there's a possibility that you may need to take your dogs to the vet for a checkup because we have seen that suddenly there's aggression, but then one of the dogs has a very serious underlying medical
And
condition.
the
Right?
underlying issues, yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. Um, Normally, when you get to a structure where there are older dogs, that's the first thing you'll look for.
Mm-hmm.
When they sort of younger dogs, it's it's one of the things that you need not be so concerned about, um, because dogs start their challenging somewhere around about 12 months, 15 months. That's when they get to this challenging age, and that's when they'll challenge everybody within the structure, the humans as well. So up to that age, that's what I'd be looking at. I'd be looking at neutering, spaying, to get rid of testosterone levels and everything. Um, Younger even, so that we don't get to that point. After that, depending on the breed, depending on what I do with my dog, is my dog high agility dog or something with high impact, and could have gotten hurt, something that I don't know about, and this dog has got pain, then it can become aggressive, not only to another dog, but to everybody within the structure.
Mm, yes.
So you've got to go and sit down and think this through. When was the first time it happened? What were the circumstances around that? Because it didn't just happen, there was a trigger. And from that, we can start determining what route to go to rectify it. And it can be rectified,
Yes.
but
Yes, we
people are
can.
too quick to give up. I'd rather keep them separated.
That's the
Um,
thing. And so many people, when they go to professionals to with this issue, then they say these dogs have to be medicated and separated for the rest of their lives. End of story. But they don't realize that if you put in the work and you have the commitment, you can fix it.
you can fix it. You know, medication is what I always refer to as going around the problem.
The
You can
band-aid.
only medicate for so long before the dog starts getting side effects from the medication.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem escalates, it becomes worse. Okay. So you cannot, with these animals, you cannot go the long route, I'm going to call it. Let's call it the short route. Going around the problem by medicating, by keeping them apart, and making your own life a living hell.
Yeah.
You can't do that. With these animals, you've got to face the problem head on, and you've got to fix it. And you've got to fix it now, not tomorrow, next day, now. Because remember that once I've diagnosed and identified the problem, now becomes a rehabilitation process. Okay, I've got to stick to the rules when it comes to giving attention. I decide who I give attention to, not the dogs. We'll give attention to one dog and another one will come in and push his way in. Oh, look, the dog's jealous. That dog is not jealous. That dog has a higher standing ranking within the structure. And you're not allowed to give attention to a lower standing dog in the structure. So you've got to decide. I give this guy attention, the other one I chase away, and I keep him out of my space. And when I'm finished with this one, I'll call the other one in. Tomorrow I rotate that. It's never the same. Okay. Who I give food to, I give food to the guy who's the calmest first. Okay, not you can sit the cutest first. Okay, you've got to be calm. So all these little things put me in a leadership role and strengthen my position within the structure. And that must always be strong because then I can control the structure. And once I get to the phase where I've finished with boot camp and I'm starting to readapt, now I start walking them together, working them together, getting them to rebuild the structure around them and to know what their position is within the structure. And it is so it's so delicate. When I'm walking with dogs, I can't have the two dogs being walked and the person on my right is letting the dog walk ahead of him or her. And I've got my dog next to me because immediately that dog's in a leadership role and immediately I'm messing up the whole thing. So that's how delicate it is. And we've got to bring it back into line.
One thing that I do think we should say as a CYA is don't do this yourself. Contact a professional, get somebody who knows what they're talking about, because especially when there's aggression, you have to be careful. Like Philip said, you have to fix it quickly, head on, but don't necessarily try to do it yourself because we've touched on some of the components now. We've touched on some interesting discussion points, but there's a lot to this topic. This can go deep. So you need somebody who understands and who's worked with this before and who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Only if you're
Uh,
willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work, don't even call them. Leave it.
yeah. Then get rid of the dogs,
Yep.
because you're just going to make those dogs' lives absolute hell. They're never going to be relaxed. You're going to have dogs that patrol all the time, dogs that are looking for a fight all the time. So many things, and you've got to, this whole thing, you've got to start breaking it down from a point, step by step by step by step, and you've got to get these dogs broken down um, to the point where they are nothing.
Level.
Yeah, but they
Level.
are nothing, and then you've got to start building them again,
Okay,
and
Philip.
it doesn't
Philip
take
sounds
long.
like Philip sounds like it's the army now. It is.
Yeah,
That's why we
but
call it a
that's
boot
what it
camp.
is. Yeah. If you're not strict, if you don't obey the rules, if you don't operate properly, be assured you're going to have a lot more problems.
We've seen this fixed. We've seen this fail many times. It's going to come
Yes.
down to, is the owner willing to follow the rules and see it through?
Commitment, commitment, and commitment. If I very often tell people, I love working with you, I love your money, but I'm not going to come back every week and teach you the same thing because you're not committed and you're not doing the work.
Absolutely.
You've called me for a reason, and if you want to take this thing forward, you've got to commit and do the work every day, not every third, fourth, second day.
When you feel
Every
like
day.
it, or when you're wearing the
Um,
right shoes every
yeah,
day.
yeah. And once you get the structure back in place, then we can start working on all the other things. Nema, my dog sleeps with me in the bed, and I normally ask, where did he start sleeping at your feet? Yes, where does he sleep now?
Up top on your pillow.
On the pillow. Why? Because the leader sleeps in the best place, sleeps at the highest place. So he's climbed within the structure already. And one
Oh,
day
and we
you're going to
don't
try and pick
think
him
these
off that
things
pillow.
matter. We don't think these small things matter, but they do. Your
They
dog's
matter.
world is this small. Your dog's world is so often the
Yeah.
four walls of your yard. Okay. Within those four walls, these things matter so much to your dog.
Yeah. There's one example I always bring up to clients. Um, the question is always, can you remember where you started senior school? Oh, yes, I can remember. All right, can you remember the first day you walked into that school? In what was ours was standard 6. I don't know what it is now, grade some
8.
8. The first day you walked in there, you were these big kids, this huge school, this everything's big. And as you get inside, the headmaster or headmistress walks up to you and says, "Oh, by the way, you are the head girl or head boy of the school. There's your badge, run it." 3 days, we're going to take you out there. A total wreck. No self-confidence. You are going to be damaged in so many ways. And why? Because you're not equipped for it. So we're going to take you out of that school. We're going to send you to rehab. We're going to send you to psychologists and all sorts. Do you think it's going to take 3 days to fix you? It's going to take a long time. Okay. And some of those issues are going to hit back at you 10, 15, 20 years later in life. So your parents wouldn't allow any school to do that to you, but you'll do it to your dogs because you allow this dog into your structure, into your household. You allow it to climb within the structure by not building knowledge, by not learning, by not doing the correct things. And then it gets up top there within the structure. It's not equipped. It's got 3 options: fight or flight, bark, or a bite. Those are that animal's options.
Mm-hmm.
So now it gets up there and it decides, okay, everybody in this family is now going to get bit because they're in my space, they this and that. And the next thing, so now this dog gets taken to the SPCA or it gets taken to the vet and it gets put down because it's an aggressive dog and it bit somebody in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not the dog's fault, your fault. Okay. So that's an example I very often use. because if your dog's not equipped to lead, he's not a natural born leader, and he gets up there, he becomes unstable. And with him being unstable becomes aggression, dominance, nervousness, all these things combine. And they just make this lovely little animal an absolute terror.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problems escalate. They just keep escalating from there. So yes, big subject. We can carry on forever. But people need to understand this. I think it's vital to bring it to their attention.
Definitely. So if you're struggling with something like this, call me, call Philip, chat to us, reach out to us on WhatsApp, whatever you need to do. Don't let it go on for too long, because the longer it goes on, the bigger the problem gets. This is
Yeah.
just a starting point. Don't try to do it yourself, especially when there's aggression. Call somebody who knows what they're doing. And we hope you had as much fun with this topic as we did, because it's very interesting. It's very nuanced. It gives us such great insight into the minds of dogs, and that's really what everyone that lives with dogs need to educate themselves about more and need to understand more, is what's going on in your dog's brain, what's going on with his instincts and his genetics and all of those fun stuff. So thank you so much, Philip. This was awesome. We'll
Thank
talk
you,
again.
Tersia.
We'll keep on tackling these tough topics for people to hear.
Yeah. And remember, like, subscribe.
Yes, please.
It gives us a reason to carry on.
Awesome.
And yeah, but as Tersia says, go look at a wagging success. All our details are there. And yeah, if we can help you, obviously we will.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Philip. Cheers.
Thank you, Tersh. Bye.